Rule number one, clutter hides in categories, not in spaces. I am at heart a hoarder. You can do it much, much quicker than you think. Oh, I love doing this. Honestly, it's one of my favorite decluttering challenges. Little things every single day make such a difference. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today I thought I would run through my everyday decluttering tips that can help create a stress-free and clutter-free home. These are just, so I'm looking at my phone because I've got some notes down here of things I want to talk you through, but these are just simple daily habits that just make basic home organization so much easier. One of the things you guys always say to me, I often see these sorts of comments and messages in my DMs to say, your home is so organized, it's so clutter-free. And firstly, thank you. That's honestly such a big compliment. I love that. But secondly, I don't necessarily think that that is strictly true. Obviously, when it's your home, you critique it a little bit more. And I'm definitely sort of looking around my house thinking there are definitely some things that I could still be decluttering and getting through and organizing. But there are some simple habits that I either do daily, weekly, monthly, have on rotation that just help me to keep on top of things. And don't get me wrong, I know that organization can be so daunting. So you'll notice on the little points that I've got for you today, I've got 10 key points I want to run through that I've been gathering over the last few weeks. Some of them are really manageable and you'll think, oh, that'll only take me 2 minutes. But actually it will feel like you've really accomplished something, really achieved something. And if you did one of these a day, then you are going to be well onto your way to having an organized, a clutter-free, stress-free, lovely, tidy home. So, as I say, I'll be looking down at my phone because I've got some notes about my top 10. This list was much longer and then I've kind of been going through and getting rid of ones. I'm like, nah, that's not that interesting. So this really is my top 10. So, rule number one is the one in, one out rule. And this applies to so many things in my home. The one thing I was doing that made me remember to put this on the list was mugs. Now I do really enjoy buying a new mug and I know a lot of you are thinking the same when it comes to the change in seasons, autumn, Christmas. It's really good fun to get a new mug to add to your collection. However, if I never got rid of any, we would be snowed under by mugs. So it's kind of one of those things that every time I buy a new mug, I must get rid of one. And as long as I keep on top of things like that, then the mug collection doesn't ever get too big. There is a whole host of things that you can do the one in, one out rule with. Obviously things you're happy to get rid of. I know it seems like a really strange example, but another thing I do it with is my socks. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but we've all got our favorite pairs of socks that are probably getting a little bit threadbare. You know, they haven't got a hole yet, but they've definitely seen better days. When I buy a new pack of 5 socks, I will pick 5 pairs of white socks that are not looking so good and they've got to go because there's no point in me keeping all of them. There's so many things that you can do the one in, one out rule with, and it really just helps you to keep on top of your collections, and that way they're not getting too big. So I love the one in, one out rule. Another way that I really like to declutter is I've put here declutter by categories, not room by room. I think one thing that I really notice is that clutter hides in categories, not in spaces, if that sentence makes any sense. So what I'm basically saying, if I said, right, we're going to declutter the kitchen, that is a really big task. Sorry, the sun is in and out today, so if the lighting's changing, I've tried to draw the curtains in a way that it's not going to bother us, but I think the lighting might change a bit. Yeah, sorry, if I'm decluttering the kitchen, that's a really big task. But if I just declutter my glassware, I'm taking off a big section of the kitchen utensils or whatever you want to call it, but I'm not actually being daunted by a really big task. Again, if I want to have a declutter in my wardrobe, I might say that I'm actually just going to declutter my shoes. Or again, if I am looking for a category, I might declutter books, or I might declutter cleaning products, because we all know I've got quite a few of those. But maybe try decluttering by categories. I personally find it a lot easier to break things down like that. Less of a daunting task. If you've got a spare 10 minutes, some categories can be really quick, and it just means that you achieve a little bit more in the time. I am all about ensuring that these declutters are not daunting, because honestly, I am at heart a hoarder. At heart, I am a real collector, so I have to work really hard at keeping on top of the amount of stuff that I keep. Just don't look in my loft, because then everything I'm saying would be redundant. My loft is a sorry place, but everything that everyone can see isn't so bad. So yeah, decluttering by categories. Gadgets is another one. Maybe go through all your phone cables one day, because I bet you half of them don't work, or for phones you don't have anymore. Things like that make it a lot easier. So another little decluttering hack that I really like is what I like to call the 15 item challenge. So basically, sweep through your house. It could take a minute, it could take 10 minutes, and collect 15 items that you no longer need, or need to be in a different home. Not necessarily saying we need to recycle, get rid of, donate these things, but they're in the wrong place. So I've got a little caddy. I actually should have got it out to show you. I was just seeing if I left it in the hall still, but I hadn't. It's from the dustpan and brush store. I'll leave it linked down below because I got it on TikTok shop. So I'll leave it linked down there if anyone wants to buy it. But it's like a little basket that's like this. I use it for so many different things. But when I'm doing my 15 item declutter, that is what I use. So just looking around my lounge at the moment, there's obviously always stuff that needs to be decluttered. But for instance, in my lounge, I have got my microphone that I use to do my voiceovers on my coffee table. That would go in the basket because it shouldn't be here. It belongs upstairs. I have got a little card on my coffee table, which was just a thank you card from one of my clients. That's probably had its time. It's been up there for a number of weeks now. So again, that can go. We're at 2 items already. I have got a duster down here in the corner, which was on its way out to my little cleaning shed a week or so ago. Has it made it there? Absolutely not. We've got 3 items. And this is literally me just picking stuff that's in front of me. So there are so many things in your home. You could do well over 15, but making it 15, it just means that it's bite-sized and makes it really easy. That you could definitely pick up and think, no, that doesn't belong there, or it needs to go to a new home. I'm talking wrappers. We're all guilty of like having a chocolate bar or a cereal bar, whatever it might be, and leaving the wrapper on the coffee table or on the side. Pick that up. That's one of your items. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. I'm not talking about decluttering one cupboard, that's one. And second cupboard, that's 2. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about individual items. You can do it much quicker than you think. Right, number 4. Wardrobe quick wins, I have labelled this. Now by this, I mean turning your hangers around the other way until you know whether you want to keep that item. So when it comes to wardrobe decluttering, that is a really daunting task. And don't get me wrong, I actually really like a wardrobe declutter. That's the one kind of organisational decluttering task that I really enjoy. I find that really therapeutic, and I do that quite often. However, one thing that I've started to adopt, because I saw so many people doing this on TikTok and it seemed to work really well, is when you put your clothes back in the wardrobe, put the hanger around the other way. So effectively, if this is like your clothes bar, you would put your hanger on that way, but instead put it on backwards. That way you can easily see the items that have gone into your wardrobe. If that item or that hanger has not turned round the other way in, some people say per season, some people say per month, some people say every 60 days, whatever time frame you want to put on it, that item needs to go. I personally do it per season, because if I haven't worn an item that autumn or that spring, then the chance of me wearing it next autumn, next spring is very thin. So what I do is at the beginning of each season, when I change my wardrobe over, when I pack up my winter stuff, bring out my summer, whatever it might be, I put all my hangers in backwards, and then as I use them, I put them back forwards. I think, yep, no, I've worn that t-shirt, yep, I've worn that dress. And at the end of summer, when I then put all of my summer clothes back away again and get my winter stuff out, any hangers that are still facing the way that I put them in back to front at the beginning of the season, they go to the charity shop, or they go on Vinted if I can be blinking bothered. Don't even get me going on Vinted. I know, I promised you guys so many times that I'm going to upload on Vinted. I will one day, and you will be first to know about it, but for now. Anyway, that's a really good way of decluttering your wardrobe, because the way that I used to do it, and I do still do this sometimes, is get everything out, chuck it all on the floor, go through it item by item and put it all back. That takes a day. Like, let's not mess around. That is a big ass task, and I do not have the time for that. So therefore I'm sure a lot of you guys don't either. Right, a digital declutter. This is, oh, I love doing this. Honestly, it's one of my favourite decluttering challenges, because nothing overstimulates me more than having a really cluttered desktop, having a really cluttered inbox, having a really decluttered iMessage or WhatsApp or whatever it might be. I say nothing stresses me out more. I'm so guilty of it. If you ask Connor, he is always on my case, because I've always got so many unread WhatsApps, so many unread iMessages. My emails are in the thousands. I am that person, and it really irritates me. But what I've started to do, this is something I've only adopted literally in the last couple of weeks, hence I've still got so many to get through, is I set a timer. Normally it's 5 minutes, because you would be amazed how much you can get done in 5 minutes. Setting yourself a timer is honestly so motivating. So depending on how much time I've got, either a 5-minute or a 10-minute timer, that's all it needs to be. I'll say, right, my desktop on my laptop, or my downloads section on my laptop is really cluttered, and I don't need half of that stuff. 5-minute timer, go through it all, clear it out, reorganize it, and it feels so good. And again, if someone said to me, you need to sort out your email inbox because that is stressful, which it is, by the way, but that is a huge task. There is no way I would factor that into my day and get that done. However, if someone said, here's 10 minutes and see how much you can get done of clearing out your inbox, it really works for me. I got through, I know this sounds ridiculous, but I cleared all my WhatsApps last week. And I know that's a normal thing, but for me, my WhatsApps have not been cleared in years, absolutely years. I'm always, oh, sorry, I haven't replied. Sorry, I missed this, because I lose stuff in there because it's so disorganized. And I don't know if that's going to seem like a bit of a shock to you guys. I'm quite clean and tidy and I am quite organized, but I don't know what happens to that part of my brain when it comes to tech. So voicemails. Oh, don't get me going on voicemails. That's another one. I don't know what it is. I get this sort of anxious feeling around listening to a voicemail. So I just leave my voicemails to pile up. And then I'm like, there was something really important in there and I haven't got to it. So again, I'm gonna maybe do that this week. I haven't actually got around to that yet, but decluttering your tech, your emails, your desktop, your downloads, your messages, your voicemails, your, I don't know what else you can get, but basically declutter your tech, guys. Do it in small bite-sized bits and you'll be absolutely fine. This is something I have done for years and I really do rate this, is to clear your flat kitchen sides daily. And what I mean by that is, for instance, in my kitchen, I know a lot of you guys will be really familiar with that, we've got a coffee machine in the corner. Behind there is a really handy little gap, and if I haven't got time to deal with it in my day, I shove it behind the gap and I hope for the best. But I never used to keep on top of it, and when I say clear flat kitchen sides, is make sure that only the things that should be on your kitchen surfaces are on your kitchen surface at the end of the day. Because if you do this every day, we're talking 30 seconds, we're talking a minute. But if you do it once a month, we're talking a big ass task, and that is what we are avoiding here. I am talking little and often organisation. So just make sure that when you give your kitchen a little clean down after dinner and things like that, any letters that you haven't opened yet that came through the post, anything that you would just stick on the side and go, oh, I'll deal with that later because I haven't got a home for it right now, or I can't think what I need to do with it, deal with it then. Because I promise you, this is something that I do every single night without fail. And it has made such a difference to my sort of stress levels. I know this sounds dramatic, but if my house is really cluttered and really disorganized, I get so stressed, I just can't function. So knowing that my kitchen sides are clear 99.9% of the time is a really good one to help me keep on top of my home. On that note, I've actually got over here a bedside table. Now, again, I was quite guilty of this until recently, but what I make sure I do every single morning without fail is clear my bedside table. Now, if you're like me, my bedside table has permanent fixtures like a book. It's got my alarm clock, my Lumi alarm clock, you might have seen it, my hand cream, my nail cream, my pillow spritz, things like that I keep on my bedside table all the time. But when I go to bed, I apply a different what do I apply? Oh, it's a neck cream. I do all my skincare and things in the bathroom, but I put a cream on my neck, I put a nail oil on, I take a glass of water up with me. Depending on what day of the week it is, I might have a cup of tea in bed the next morning. So basically, what I'm getting at is, by the time I go downstairs in the morning, my bedside table can be piled up with stuff, and it's so easy just to leave it. But if I find that I, again, spend 10 seconds putting the stuff that's on my bedside table back in the drawer, back in the cupboard, taking my mug or my water glass downstairs with me on that trip, it just helps you keep on top of it, because before you know it, it's been 4 or 5 days, your mugs are piling up, which is just also really unhygienic and really could get quite smelly. That's just not nice. Your glasses are piling up and no one wants that. It's starting to look a little bit more like a teenager's bedroom, and I'm not about that. So I make a really conscious effort that when I make the bed every morning, I clear my bedside table. I clear Connor's as well. He literally only ever has a glass of water there. Weirdly enough, he doesn't have his bedside table filled with creams. But yeah, just put things away on your bedside table. These little things every single day make such a difference. Right. Oh, create a donation station. And this is what, well, a donation station, I just called it this because I thought it sounded quite cool. But basically this is like a charity basket. Now I have got one in the corner of my dressing room, just next to my dehumidifier, because there are quite often little things that, like for instance, when I clear out my mugs, when I do the one in, one out, most of the time the mugs are in really good condition. They're not chipped, they're not stained, they're really good. I think actually it just seems a bit of a waste to chuck that in the bin or recycle it, so it's something that will go to a charity shop. However, the chance of me driving one mug to a charity shop is absolutely not going to happen. Therefore, that mug would stay out on my side, it would be cluttering my home, and we'd be back to square one again. So what I have in my dressing room is my donation station. A little basket, it's like this. Anything that I ever spot, I think, oh, actually I'll pop that down to the charity shop. I mean, I actually checked what I've got in there at the moment just so that I can give you guys some examples. I've got a scarf in there, which when I actually decluttered my scarf collection, this is all starting to make sense now. The other day, there was a scarf in there that I didn't even know I had. So that's gone into the donation basket. I have got a mug in there because I bought two new autumn mugs, but I got rid of one. You know, we're still on the same tact. There's a mug in there. There's a vase in there actually. It's a vase that just isn't quite the right colour for my home, so again, I've never used it. So yeah, 3 items in there in a week, which I think is pretty good. And then every now and then Connor passes the charity shop that we donate to on the way to golf, and he'll say, you know, what's in the basket, and he'll whip it down there for me. And it's just a way of keeping on top of it. So have a little donation station. It's actually a bit cringe, isn't it? I just thought it sounded a bit, you know, like something going on, but there we go. Where are we? While we're on creating little areas, I also have a drop zone. Well, we have two. Now, what I mean by a drop zone is everyone will have it. Where is that area in your home that when you or your family, your partner, whoever it might be, comes through the door, dumps their keys, dumps their wallets, dumps their water bottle, dumps their receipts, whatever they've come in the house with, where is that? Because we have our corner of our coffee table and our radiator cabinet in the hall are our little, what did I call it? It was so catchy that I can't remember it. Drop zone. That's so cringy, Lou. Our drop zones. So at the end of the day, there will quite often be a couple of sets of keys on the coffee table, and the radiator cabinet might be my handbag, there might be Archie's lead, there could be honestly anything there. But again, just make sure you clear it before you go to bed. We are talking 10 seconds. But all these little things that I'm giving you here, imagine if you came down to all of these things being done one morning. Imagine your kitchen sides were clear. Imagine anything that you took out your cupboards from your clearing out went into the charity basket straight away and wasn't just sat on the side. Imagine your keys went on the coffee table. Did I already say that? But just all these things accumulated are going to mean that your house is going to be lovely and clear. So this is what I mean when I say my house is still cluttered, because I can still pull stuff out of it. But maybe it looks tidy on the surface. So there we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the last one. And I think probably my biggest hack, but it's not a brand new one, it's one that I've kind of been touching on a few times, is declutter drawer by drawer. Take it slow. So again, if someone said to me, can you film a video decluttering your entire kitchen? I would go, oh my God, I don't know where to start. That's such a daunting task. Like, I could easily be saying over a day's worth of work in there to declutter all my kitchen cupboards. But if I do them drawer by drawer, cupboard by cupboard, yes, it might take me 2 weeks to get through them all, but not once am I going to dread or feel like I've got a daunting task ahead of me. So again, I've filmed this quite a lot for my shorts, I think even for my long form content before, because it's a cupboard or a drawer in our kitchen that is forever getting untidy. I am always having to reorganise our Tupperware drawer, and I know so many of you can relate, because every time I moan about it, you're like, yeah, mine's a mess too. But again, I probably reorganise our Tupperware drawer, I would say once every 10 days to 2 weeks, which I know sounds a lot, but I have caught Connor red-handed, literally just shoving stuff in the drawer and then wondering why it doesn't shut. So I know where the problem lies, but I can't change Connor. But one thing I can do is tidy the drawer, let's say every 10 days or so, which I know sounds a lot, but it takes me 2 minutes. I just restack the pots, I just restack the lids, and the drawer starts to shut again. You know, when you get to the point where your drawer's not shutting. Again, doing it with your cutlery drawer every now and then, because you can give that a good wipe out. I've got no idea where all the crumbs that appear in your cutlery drawer come from, but they do. So again, do that every few weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. But if you go drawer by drawer, cupboard by cupboard, it will not feel like a big task. I feel like I'm saying the same thing to you. I know these are different things, but I think the one thing that if you're wanting to get on top of organising or decluttering your home to take away from this video is do it in bite-sized amounts. I personally, everyone's different, I personally couldn't wake up one morning and be like, I'm gonna declutter my entire home today, because I would find that such a daunting task that I know I would never ever start. But if 5 minutes of my lunch break, I knew I had to declutter one drawer, one cupboard, one category, one section of my wardrobe, whatever I've chosen from that list, I could definitely do that. And that is how I manage my home. I think that is honestly the key to keeping a clean and tidy, clutter-free, stress-free home. Just take it little and often. So I hope this video has been kind of interesting. As I say, I don't do all these things all the time, but I do quite a big selection of these quite regularly, and it might sound a lot, but just remember, I'm talking minutes here. I'm not talking half an hour tasks. Just to give you an example of how realistic this is for someone to do, because I know this sounds a lot, I might reorganise half a drawer in one of my kitchens whilst the kettle is boiling for my morning tea. That minute where I'm often just stood there playing with the dog or whatever it might be, I might as well declutter half a drawer. This is what I mean, guys. I can't say it anymore. Little and often. Little and often is the way forward. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope more than anything, it just gives you a little bit of motivation that if you are sat there with a little bit of clutter around you thinking, this home isn't quite the tranquil, calm space I wanted or hoped for, then hopefully this will help you just get started. And I promise you, once you started, it gets easier. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Happy decluttering, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye.